Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're re-diving into one of the most fascinating, contradictory, and tragic figures in all of ancient Chinese history, Li Si, the first and most powerful chancellor of the Qin dynasty, the man who helped build China's first unified empire, only to be publicly tortured and executed in the streets of Xianyang, his entire family wiped out alongside him. If you think you know the story of Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor, you don't truly get it until you understand Li Si, his genius, his ambition, his fatal flaws, and the choice that destroyed everything he spent his life building. Let's start at the very beginning, in a small village in the state of Chu, over 2,300 years ago. Li Si was born around 280 BCE in Shanghai, a humble region in what's now Henan province. As a young man, he worked as a minor clerk, a low-level bureaucrat, with no noble blood, no powerful family connections, and no clear path to greatness. But one observation changed his life forever, and changed the course of Chinese history. Legend has it that Li Si saw two groups of rats, one group living in a filthy outhouse, scrounging for scraps, and living in constant fear. The other, living in a well-stocked granary, plump safe, and free to eat as much as they wanted. Li Si looked at those rats, and realized a brutal truth. A person's success or failure in life isn't just about talent or hard work. It's about the environment you choose, the position you occupy, and the power you seize. That granary rat philosophy became the guiding principle of his entire life. He would not spend his days as a scared, hungry outhouse rat. He would climb to the top, to the richest, most powerful granary in the entire known world, the court of the Qin state. Li Si left his small village, traveled to the state of Qi, and studied under Xunzi, one of the greatest Confucian scholars of the era. But Li Si didn't embrace traditional Confucian virtue. Instead, he took Xunzi's ideas about governance and twisted them into legalism, a harsh, pragmatic philosophy that prioritized strict laws, centralized power, and absolute authority for the ruler. Legalism rejected moral persuasion in favor of punishment and reward, a system perfectly suited for the violent, chaotic, warring states period. Once his studies were complete, Li Si made his move. He headed west to Qin, the most militarily powerful state, the one with the ambition to conquer all others and unify China. When Li Si arrived in Qin, he first gained the trust of Lil Bui, the powerful regent, for the young king Yingzheng, later known as Qin Shi Huang. Lv Bui saw Li Si's sharp intellect and appointed him a palace attendant, giving him access to the young king. That was the moment Li Si had been waiting for. He didn't waste a second. He went straight to Yingzheng and laid out a bold, ruthless strategy for conquering the other 6 warring states. The mediocre man misses opportunities, Li Si told the king, but the great man strikes when the moment is right. Now is the time to destroy the other states, one by one, before they can unite against you. Send spies with gold and jade to corrupt their officials, assassinate their wise ministers, and then send your armies to finish the job. Yingzheng was electrified. This was exactly the vision he needed. He immediately promoted Li Si to high office, making him his chief strategist for unification. But Li Si's first great test came in 237 BCE, when Qin's noble families, jealous of foreign advisors like Li Si, convinced Yingzheng to issue an order expelling all non-Qin officials from the court. Li Si was on the list, facing ruin. He wrote one of the greatest political essays in Chinese history, the Jian Ju Qishu, or exhortation against the expulsion of guest officers. In this letter, Li Si didn't beg for mercy. He argued with cold logic. He told Yingzheng that Qin's strength had always come from outsiders, talented ministers, generals, and thinkers from other states, who made Qin powerful. Expelling them would weaken Qin and strengthen its enemies. Yingzheng read the letter, immediately cancelled the expulsion order, and brought Li Si back even more trusted than before. This wasn't just a personal victory. It was a victory for meritocracy over nepotism, and it kept Qin's unification campaign on track. For the next 15 years, Li Si stood beside Yingzheng as they conquered state after state. By 221 BCE, the last state fell, and China was unified for the first time in centuries. Yingzheng took the title Qin Shi Huang, the first emperor of China, and Li Si became the first chancellor of the first imperial dynasty. This is where Li Si's legacy truly shines. He didn't just help win a war. He built an entirely new system that would define China for the next 2,000 years. Let's break down his revolutionary reforms, because these are the changes that made China. First, Li Si killed the feudal system forever. Almost every other advisor urged Qin Shi Huang to divide the empire into fiefs, and give them to the emperor's sons and brothers, just like the old Zhou dynasty. But Li Si saw the danger. He told the emperor the Zhou kings gave land to their relatives, but over time, those families grew distant, fought each other like enemies, and destroyed the dynasty. If we want stability, we must eliminate feudalism entirely. Instead, Li Si created the commanderies and counties system, a centralized bureaucracy, where all local officials were appointed by the emperor, not born into power. The empire was split into 36 commanderies, each controlled by a loyal official, directly answering to the central government. This was the birth of China's centralized imperial system, a model used by every dynasty after Qin. It ended warlordism, created national unity, and made the emperor's authority absolute. Second, Li Si standardized everything that divided the old warring states. Before unification, every state had its own writing system, its own weights and measures, its own currency, even its own width for cartwheels. A farmer in Chu couldn't read a document from Zhao. A merchant from Qi couldn't sell goods in Yan because the measurements were different. Li Si fixed this overnight. He created a single, simplified writing system called Small Seal Script, forcing everyone in the empire to use the same characters. He unified weights, measures, and currency, creating a single national economy. He even standardized the width of cart axles, so carts could travel on the same road across the entire empire. These reforms weren't just practical, they were cultural. They turned a collection of separate states into a single unified people, with a shared language, economy, and identity. This is why Li Si is called the architect of Chinese civilization. Third, Li Si established strict legalism as the official ideology. He believed that a strong empire needed strict, clear laws, applied equally to everyone, nobles and commoners alike. He wrote new laws, standardized punishments, and created a system where officials were trained to enforce the law without mercy. But this system had a dark side. Li Si argued that private education and ancient texts, like the Confucian classics, made people question the emperor's authority. In 213 BCE, he convinced Huang to burn most ancient books and execute scholars who opposed the policy. This burning of books and burying of scholars is one of the darkest stains on Li Si's legacy, a move that destroyed countless ancient texts and crushed intellectual freedom. It was a brutal attempt to control thought, and it would later help destroy the Qin dynasty. For years, Li Si was at the height of power. He was the emperor's right-hand man, his family married into the imperial clan, and he controlled every part of the government. He had achieved his dream. He was the granary rat, safe and powerful beyond imagination. But power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. Li Si's obsession with holding on to his position would lead him to make the worst decision of his life, a decision that would cost him everything. In 210 BCE, Qin Huang died suddenly while on a tour of his empire at a place called Sand Hill. The emperor had written a secret letter to his eldest son, Prince Fusu, ordering him to return to Xiangyang and take the throne. Fusu was a wise, kind prince who opposed legalist brutality and was loved by the people. He was also close to General Meng Tian, the most powerful military leader in the empire. The letter was sealed, but it fell into the hands of Zhao Gao, a corrupt eunuch who managed the emperor's seals and documents. Zhao Gao knew that if Fusu became emperor, he would lose his power, and Li Si would probably be replaced by Meng Tian. So Zhao Gao hatched a plot. He would destroy the original letter, forge a new one, ordering Fusu and Meng Tian to commit suicide, and put the weak, easily controlled Prince Huai on the throne instead. Zhao Gao went straight to Li Si. He didn't threaten him at first. He appealed to Li Si's greatest weakness, his fear of losing power. Lord Chancellor Zhao Gao said, "Compare yourself to Meng Tian. Are you more talented, more respected, more trusted by Prince Fusu? If Fusu becomes emperor, Meng Tian will be chancellor, and you will lose everything you've built. You'll end up a nobody, exiled or killed." Li Si hesitated. He knew the plot was treason. He knew Fusu was the rightful heir. He knew this would destroy the empire Qin Huang had built. But he thought of his granary rat philosophy. He thought of losing his wealth, his title, his power. He thought of going back to being a poor clerk from Shanghai. And in that moment, Li Si chose power over loyalty, ambition over morality. He agreed to join Zhao Gao's coup. Together, Li Si and Zhao Gao forged the emperor's seal on a fake edict. They sent it to Fusu and Meng Tian, accusing them of treason and ordering them to kill themselves. Fusu, loyal to his father, obeyed and committed suicide. Meng Tian refused at first, but was later forced to take his own life. With their rivals dead, Li Si and Zhao Gao marched back to Xianyang, announced Hu Hai as the second emperor, and kept Qin Shi Huang's death a secret until they were in full control. It was the most consequential betrayal in Chinese history, and it sealed Li Si's fate. At first, Li Si thought he'd won. He kept his title as Chancellor, and Hu Hai did whatever Zhao Gao and Li Si told him. But Zhao Gao was even more ruthless than Li Si. He didn't want to share power. He wanted it all. He began to turn Hu Hai against Li Si, spreading lies that Li Si was plotting rebellion, that his son was collaborating with rebels, and that Li Si thought the emperor was weak and incompetent. Hu Hai, naive and cruel, believed every word. Zhao Gao had Li Si arrested, thrown into a dark prison, and tortured endlessly. The torture was brutal: beatings, starvation, sleep deprivation. Li Si, the once mighty chancellor, was broken. He confessed to crimes he didn't commit, hoping to end the pain. In 208 BCE, the verdict was handed down. Li Si was found guilty of treason. His punishment was the 5 punishments, the most horrific execution in Qin law: tattooing of the face, cutting off the nose, cutting off the hands and feet, castration, and then being chopped in half at the waist, in the public market of Xianyang. After his death, his entire family, parents, children, siblings, cousins, were executed, wiped out to the last member. As Li Si was led to the execution ground, he turned to his son and said, "I want to go back to Shanghai to hunt rabbits with you on the plains, but can we ever do that again?" It was the last words of a man who had given up everything for power, only to lose even the simple joys of life. Li Si's death was a tragedy of his own making. He was a genius who built an empire, created systems that lasted millennia, and unified a fractured civilization. But his greed, his fear of losing power, and his moral cowardice led him to betray his emperor, his prince, and his own ideals. He helped create a tyrannical second emperor, accelerated the collapse of the Qing dynasty, and died a painful, humiliating death. His story is a warning that has echoed through history. Talent and ambition can lift you to the stars, but without integrity and moral courage, they will drag you to ruin. Li Si's legacy is split in two. On one side, he is the architect of China's imperial system, the man who gave China unified writing, centralized governance, and a national identity. Without him, China might have remained a collection of warring states, never becoming the unified civilization we know. On the other side, he is a cautionary tale of corruption and betrayal, a man who sacrificed everything for power and lost everything anyway. Historians have debated his character for over 2,000 years. Some call him a hero, others call him a villain. The truth is, he was both. He was a man of extraordinary talent and extraordinary flaws, a product of his brutal time, and one of the most important figures in human history. When we study Li Si, we don't just study one man, we study the birth of an empire, the power of ideas, and the cost of ambition. We see that even the smartest, most capable people can fall if they lose their moral compass. We see that systems built on fear and cruelty, no matter how brilliant their design, cannot last. The Qin dynasty collapsed just a few years after Li Si's death, torn apart by rebellion and tyranny. But the systems Li Si created lived on, shaping China for centuries. That's the paradox of Li Si. He destroyed the empire he built, yet his work survived him. If you enjoyed this journey into ancient China, hit like, drop a comment, and subscribe for more epic history. See you next time.